One second, you're rising to stardom with Tom Cruise by your side, and then you blink and suddenly decades have passed. You've raised a family, and you're sticking up for the little guy, aka Kevin Spacey. Or at least that's the case if you're Rebecca De Mornay. When a film gives you the breakout role that launches your career and a boyfriend to boot, it's safe to say it was a good gig, especially when that new beau is leading man and pre-couch jumping Tom Cruise. While the timelines of De Mornay's relationships are iffy, they seem to suggest that she may have been engaging in some risky relationship business of her own. Most reports point to De Mornay having been in a relationship with actor Harry Dean Stanton when she started an affair with Cruise, and De Mornay admitted that the two were together when both the film and her relationship started attracting some unwanted attention. As she told The Wrap, "It was personally jarring and thrilling and discombobulating to have become famous so quickly. Tom and I were together when the movie came out, and we had photographers jumping out of bushes, the pre-paparazzi days."
Okay, you know what this is. This is the chemistry test. So, let's get some chemistry going.
All told, the two dated for somewhere between 2 and 3 years and split while De Mornay was filming The Slugger's Wife. While she seems to only have positive things to say about her time with Cruise, her next movie would prove to be a much different story. Hindsight is 20/20, but looking back, De Mornay and the powers that be behind The Slugger's Wife should have taken the tornado that interrupted shooting as a divine warning about proceeding with the film. The movie made back less than $2 million of its $19 million budget and earned De Mornay some of the worst reviews of her career. But while reflecting on her early career decades later in an interview with The Independent in 2024, De Mornay seemed to have adopted a healthy approach about balancing the great reviews of risky business with the savage ones for Slugger's Wife, saying, "None of it was actually true. I'm not as good as they were saying, and I'm not as horrible as they were saying either. I'm an actress in a movie. I can't base my self-worth on how it all turns out." If that mindset sounds pretty zen-like, well, that's because it is. Reeling not only from the critical beatdown of her performance, but also from losing her mother not long after, De Mornay ended up where we all do when we're at a challenging point in our lives, a Zen Buddhist monastery in the United Kingdom. As she went on to tell The Independent, "I came to realize how much of it was out of my control, and I've had peace ever since, and worked in Hollywood for 40 years now. I think that's an incredible achievement." Whether it was help from the Buddha or her own determination, De Mornay found herself back in the good graces of critics thanks to work in the acclaimed films Runaway Train and The Trip to Bountiful. And in 1986, she also found herself in the arms of a husband, producer, screenwriter, and novelist Bruce Wagner, known in Hollywood for co-writing A Nightmare on Elm Street 3, Dream Warriors with Wes Craven, and solo writing David Cronenberg's 2014 film Maps to the Stars. But unfortunately, the marriage was over just 4 years later. The relationship apparently ended much sooner than that. According to a Los Angeles Times article from 1993, the pair separated just 10 months after they walked down the aisle. Between 1986 and the early 2000s, it's safe to say that Rebecca De Mornay towed the line between TV and movies. And to say it more bluntly and accurately, she starred in a bunch of TV movies and miniseries. During that time in her career, those two mediums made up more than half of De Mornay's acting projects. After getting a taste with an adaptation of the Edgar Allan Poe story, The Murders in the Rue Morgue, she'd star in a series of not very memorable TV movies, as well as the much more memorable miniseries adaptation of Stephen King's The Shining.
Maybe I could use some caretaking, too.
What are you talking about?
With the project, King was attempting to bring a more accurate version of his novel to the screen. And while it may not be remembered as fondly as the Stanley Kubrick classic, De Mornay could at least hang her haunted hat on the fact that she was King's first choice to play the new iteration of Wendy Torrance. But while a former leading lady performing in so many lower-profile projects might be seen as a kind of career downturn, that strangely wasn't the case, because in the midst of that, De Mornay rocked Hollywood with her performance in 1992's The Hand That Rocks the Cradle, a demented, thrilling film about a pregnant widow who suffers a miscarriage after the death of her sex offender husband, before she targets one of his victims and her family. Cheery premise, right? But that didn't seem to matter, as the film was a hit at the box office, and De Mornay found herself swimming in praise. She won Best Actress at the Cognac Festival, earned Best Actress nominations at the Chicago Film Critics Association Awards and the Saturn Awards, and collected the most prestigious award of all, an MTV Movie Award for Best Villain. With that kind of recognition for the role, it shouldn't really come as a surprise that De Mornay had mixed feelings about the 2025 remake of the film, telling MovieWeb, "I was quite perturbed when I heard that, sort of possessive, like, wait a second, that's my role. I hope they do it justice. I hope that, for their sake, it's good, because ours really is pretty damn good."
I also wish that they weren't relying so much in this business on remakes.
As of this video, critics may be mixed on the remake, but there's no word yet on De Mornay's take. Time will tell if she has any plans to embrace her villainous side again and rock the hands that rock the hand that rocks the cradle. Another relationship, another uncertain timeline. Even though her relationship with Bruce Wagner was reportedly short-lived, De Mornay may have technically still been married when she began a relationship with Mr. Hallelujah himself, Leonard Cohen. Regardless of when exactly romance entered the equation, the two were linked by Cohen's 1992 album The Future, which was dedicated to De Mornay. Since people don't typically go around dedicating their albums to acquaintances, it sure seems to be a sign that something had likely been brewing between the two. The two eventually got engaged, though the timing there is also fuzzy, but it was the closest that De Mornay would come to getting hitched again. In keeping with the pair's vibe, it's also unknown when the relationship ended, but smart money is on that it was before Cohen became an ordained monk in 1996. You know, since being a monk is known as more of a solitary gig. Regardless, the bond between the two appeared to last through the years. When Cohen passed away in 2016, De Mornay told people, "Leonard Cohen was one of the greatest poets, but for me, he was also one of the most important people in my life, and losing him is like losing a limb." After losing Cohen to the allure of monkhood, De Mornay turned her attention over to the world of sports, or at least to one of the guys reporting on them. From 1995 to 2002, De Mornay dated Patrick O'Neal, longtime sportscaster and even longer-time Nepo baby. O'Neal is the answer to the age-old question of what happens when you cross an Oscar-nominated actor with a primetime Emmy-winning actor. Or to put it more simply, he's the son of Ryan O'Neal and his first wife, Lee Taylor-Young. Like his three half-siblings, Patrick worked in film before entering the wide world of sports reporting a few decades ago. Viewers of FanDuel Sports Network West have seen him on their screens since 2000, where he reports on Southern California teams for Bally Sports. In November 1997, the pair welcomed the first of their two kids into the world, with daughter Sophia being followed by her sister Veronica 3.5 years later in March 2001. De Mornay dedicated herself to the new role of mother, telling the Rep in 2023 that she began turning down a good number of jobs so she could focus on parenting. Like many of us, she seemed to have struggled finding how to deal with a work-life balance, telling the publication, "I'm not quite sure how some of these very famous actresses with children, how they do it. Maybe they're good at multitasking? I'm not." Just because she decided to slow down her workflow doesn't mean that De Mornay left Hollywood behind, and despite her not reaching the heights she'd once reached, she's still been able to pull in some pretty notable gigs.
Shut your mouth when you're talking to me.
There's a 1999 5-episode arc on ER Here, a 2005 4-episode arc on The Practice There, and like every actor who's ever existed, she's in the Law & Order universe thanks to an SVU appearance in 2006. In more recent years, she's popped up in Hawaii Five-0, Lucifer, and NCIS, but she hasn't limited herself to purely guest spots. In 2007, she was a featured regular on John from Cincinnati before HBO gave it the axe after one season, and then entered another massive universe with the Marvel series Jessica Jones, where she recurred frequently as the titular Jessica's adopted mother. Speaking about the show to the blog Sci-Fi and TV Talk, De Mornay touched on how the show was somewhat of a departure from her usual work, saying, "Jessica Jones is a very interesting show. It's a bit too violent for my tastes. Most things usually are, but the whole show seems to be a very valid comic book exploration, something that a lot of folks are into these days." If you've heard De Mornay's name pop up recently, it might have nothing to do with her film work and everything to do with her opinions. She may not talk much about her romantic life, but that tight-lippedness doesn't seem to apply to controversial socio-political issues. In 2024, De Mornay vocalized her support for Israel numerous times across numerous channels. She partnered with the now-defunct Instagram account 2024 New Voices to produce a video statement siding with Israel, took part in Israel Appreciation Day 2024, and has also spoken on the topic at conferences and media interviews. As she said in an interview with the Jewish Journal, "A lot of my closest relationships turned out to be with Jews. I felt very naturally attracted to them my entire life. When October 7th happened, it was as if it was happening to children in my backyard." Through all of her work on the subject, De Mornay won the Warrior for Israel Award from Women's International Zionist Organization California, awarded on the one-year anniversary of October 7th, 2023. De Mornay's support of Israel is clear, and so is her defense of accused sexual assaulter Kevin Spacey. While she's far from the only celebrity who's spoken out in support of the disgraced but still working actor, she's certainly been one of his biggest and fearless defenders, saying in an interview with The Independent, "I think it's really unfortunate, this entire sort of politically correct handcuffing of everybody, that you're afraid on so many levels to ever speak your truth because you might get canceled." Later on, De Mornay went on to explain that she chose to work with Spacey in the 2024 film Peter 5'8" because she didn't think he was a, quote, violent predator like some others in Hollywood, adding, "I think he's unjustly accused of a lot of stuff. I'm not sure why he was jumped on to the extent that he was. I think the timing was unfortunate with, the Harvey Weinstein thing. But the bottom line is, I would work with him again."